No, never. I came into the match knowing that I might be playing a small guy, but in fact, his shot making and the way he moves throughout the court is incredible. And despite him not having the biggest of shots and the most amount of power, I knew that I was dealing with something, demanding, and it took a lot of work to accept and work on that challenge. It wasn't easy playing against him. It's never easy playing against him, in fact, and I need to be very much in the zone to get my decisions right and to kind of start building momentum and building patience like a monk.
English.
Stefanos, in the next round you will be playing Sebastian Ofner. What do you know of him and what do you expect?
I watched a little bit of his match against Fabio Fognini. I know that clay court suits him well. He can play well on the surface. He has had some good results in the past on clay courts, and he might not be the guy who you will see very often on Masters 1000 tournaments and 500s in terms of going deep and playing and beating the top guys. But I'm sure he's on a good streak right now. He's feeling good with his tennis. In order for him to be playing at the fourth round of a Grand Slam, that means that he's been consistently delivering every 2 days, and definitely a very different, separate challenge of what I'm used to, kind of playing guys that they've been around. I'm going to approach it with seriousness and professionalism.
You didn't speak right here. You didn't speak very highly of your performance in the first round match. You were pretty dismissive of your level, and today you play pretty differently. It sounds like you're pleased with your performance. Can you compare the two from the beginning of the tournament to today, and explain if there's anything you did during the past few days to get you to where you were today, or if it's just one of those things where you wake up and some days you have a good day and some days it's less good?
There are certain matchups in which you have to readjust your game. Less risk involved, more daring shots in some circumstances against different opponents. And against other opponents, you just have to be smart in terms of conservative tennis. What I'm referring to with that is not necessarily going for big shots or extreme decisions, rational decisions that your opponent is. Sometimes it's a mind game, in my opinion. When I play, sometimes with certain opponents, it's a mind game. I can kind of get into their head, what they're thinking, and how they want to approach their game towards me, and I give them something different. And sometimes they don't expect it. So, I don't want to say much based on that, but today was completely different in terms of feeling, in terms of detail when I try to pursue my shots, and it kind of works sometimes. It works on its own. It has its own kind of entity against a certain opponent or a certain player. Vesely is a completely different player than Schwartzman is. Schwartzman can run all day. He can get balls back. His movement is his biggest strength. He can make it physical. He can make it dirty. He might not serve the biggest, and he might not have the greatest serve of all in the game, but he compensates that by having a very solid baseline game, which makes you work for it on every single point and every single occasion.
Last word in English.
Hi, Steph. Congratulations on the win. Most of the top guys and probably most of the favorites to win this tournament are still in the draw, but there have been a good amount of upsets both on the men's and the women's side. Is that something you're cognizant of, and to what do you attribute maybe some of these earlier surprises?
To which are you referring to?
Just in general, a lot of the lower seeds are exiting. You're playing a qualifier.
Upsets are always going to be happening in Grand Slams. first round upsets, very common to see in Grand Slams, even by top seeded players and players sometimes in the top 10. That's the Grand Slam nature. Some players are more prepared than others. Some it kind of takes time for them to get into the game and adjust to this new form of tennis, in which I mean different balls, different surface, different crowds, and upsets. Kind of, it's a thing. It's happening to everyone. It has happened to most of us on early rounds, and we learn through that how to avoid them and how to build a safe net where we can start a little bit more add in terms of risk in our game later on. And something that I feel like Novak Djokovic has been doing very well in terms of his Grand Slam appearances. He has been starting Grand Slams, I wouldn't say playing incredible tennis, but just enough to get him through in the first few rounds.
Last one.
Stefanos, you told us recently that you think that the psychological aspect of tennis is a big part of the game. So how difficult is it to play like nothing matters at all at the moments when it really does matter?
Yeah, these are two different psychological states. I've produced some really good tennis when I'm at a psychological state of nothing matters, and I don't care anymore, and I just want to play it. I don't care what the outcome will be, and moments like this, I've broken back. I've suddenly found my rhythm back into the game. I guess there's lack of expectation, there's lack of thought, there's lack of creativity when you're out there, because you're constantly thinking, you're constantly analyzing every decision and ball that comes is thrown at you. You have to make a decision, whether that's cognitive or something else. It's there, and sometimes when you, from my personal experience, when you let go of that, when you kind of, I don't like using that word because I've never really done it in a tennis match, but when you kind of tank. For some players, it can be very beneficial and help them play better in a way. Yeah. And what was the other one? We need to cover. Okay, cool. Right.
Συγχαρητήρια, Στέφανε.
Στο Βίκυ.
Και στα τρία παιχνίδια